Have you ever finished a Netflix show and just sat there for a moment thinking, wait, what did I just watch? That's exactly what Man on Fire does. On the surface, it looks like a straightforward revenge thriller. Explosions, betrayals, kidnappings, assassinations. Everything builds toward chaos. But the ending doesn't feel like typical action storytelling. It changes the way you see Creasy, the world around him, and even the story itself. And the strange part is, most viewers completely miss what the final scene is really saying. So let's break it down. The first thing that separates Man on Fire from the original movie is the tone. This version is much more psychological. The old story focused heavily on revenge. But this adaptation shifts the focus. It's not just about what Creasy does. It's about what it does to him. Because Creasy isn't just fighting criminals throughout the series. He's fighting something inside himself. Guilt. That's why so many of his moments feel quiet. Even after intense situations, he often just stops and stares, as if he's carrying something heavier than the violence around him. The series keeps hinting at one idea. Creasy stopped believing he deserved peace a long time ago. And that becomes the emotional core of everything that follows. Because the ending isn't really about stopping the villains. It's about whether he can still become human again. Now let's talk about the betrayal. Throughout the series, everything feels like the threat is coming from the outside. Cartels, hitmen, corrupt officials. But slowly, the story shifts. And we realize something worse. The danger was already inside the system. Inside the people Creasy trusted. And the show actually leaves clues early on. Like the warehouse scene with Rivera. At first, it feels normal. But looking back, it's not. He avoids eye contact at key moments. He changes topics too quickly. And he always speaks vaguely when the kidnappings come up directly. Almost like he's trying not to say the wrong thing. Or worse, trying not to reveal what he already knows. That's not bad writing. That's intentional. And once the truth comes out, everything shifts. Because now it's no longer about revenge. It's about betrayal. And those are two completely different kinds of pain. Now here's where the ending becomes interesting. Most viewers expect a big explosive climax. But the show does something different. It slows down. Especially in the final hospital sequence. And that's where the real conflict happens. Not outside. Inside Creasy. Because at that point, he finally understands something he didn't before. Violence never actually fixed anything. Every time he solved a problem with rage, it created more damage, more loss, more isolation. So when he finally has the chance to continue the cycle, he stops. And that moment is important. Because the Creasy from the beginning of the story would never have done that. This version does. And that's the point. He's not becoming more violent. He's becoming aware. Now let's talk about the question everyone asks after finishing it. Did Creasy survive? The series doesn't give a clear answer. It stays ambiguous on purpose. But there are hints. First, the show avoids showing a definitive ending for him. Second, the dialogue near the end keeps referencing ideas like unfinished cycles and things that don't fully end. And then there's the final shot. It doesn't frame Creasy like someone who is defeated. It frames him like someone fading out of the story. Not an ending of defeat, but an ending of transformation. The chaos is gone. The sound drops. Everything slows down. And for the first time, there's silence. But there's another layer most people miss. The title itself. Man on Fire. At first, it feels like it refers to rage, violence, revenge. But by the end, it means something deeper. Fire destroys. But it also reveals what's left underneath. Creasy spends the entire story burning from the inside. Not just from anger, but from guilt, loss, and memory. And by the end, that fire finally runs out of fuel. That's why the ending feels quiet instead of explosive. Because nothing is being won anymore. It's just what remains after everything is gone. And that's why the show stays in people's minds. Because it doesn't give easy answers. It doesn't give clean justice. It shows consequence. And emotional cost. So what do you think? Did Creasy survive? Was Rivera the real enemy? Or was the system broken from the beginning? And more importantly, should there even be a continuation after this ending? If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe to Noirscope for more dark Netflix explanations, hidden details, and psychological deep dives. Because some stories don't end when they finish. They stay with you long after.